Hello, everyone. Welcome to Realm Smith's Aftermath. I'm your host, Hillary Z. It is Thursday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, and we are live. Welcome, everybody. So glad that you could all make it. This is Aftermath, a show where you can get your questions answered and keep up to date with all things Realmsmith. Stick around to the end to see the winner of this week's dice giveaway for the Champions of the Realm winner predictions and catch a sneak peek of next week's semi-final episode. Just warning, there will be spoilers ahead for the season of Tides, minor spoilers for Wildemount, and obviously spoilers for the Champions of the Realm. First of all, want to give a huge thanks to our friends and our sponsor for this show, Forged Gaming. They also just became a sponsor for our main title show, Tides of Wildemount. So very excited about that. They make amazing tabletop accessories for players and game masters alike. If you are interested, they have provided us with a discount code. So gather all your goodies up in your cart and enter RealmSmith20, all one word, at checkout to receive 20% off your entire order. Thanks, Forged Gaming. Join us Mondays for our main title show, Tides of Wildemount, as we follow the seditious six on their way through the Marrow Valley towards the Bromkiln Hills. So tune in Monday nights live at 7 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday nights, this one is actually Wednesday, come and watch Champions of the Realm with us as we near our final championship face-off. We just finalized our last matchup for the semifinals. To see the first of our semifinal bouts featuring Alicia Marie and Nora Ibrahim as Barrowyn and Esmeralda, tune in at 8 p.m. Eastern this Wednesday. And with that said, I would love to invite on our guests for today. First, of course, is our very own DM, Jason Azevedo. And today we have a special guest. On-camera personality, creative producer, games entertainment specialist, a woman who has helped foster a more inclusive and positive culture within the gaming space, who we owe many thanks to, the one and only Anna Prosser.
That's a really kind intro.
Wow,
Thank
that
you.
was good, eh?
Yeah.
She wrote that herself. I didn't even know.
Oh.
Why don't I get that intro like that?
We all know how amazing you are, but we
Oh,
have
stop.
just brought Anna Prosser into our
That's
lovely
true.
little Realm Smith family.
That is true.
But I'll try for next
That's
week.
true. That's awesome.
How you guys doing today?
So good.
All right. Yeah, so good.
Awesome.
How about
I am excited to be here. I am honored that you are here with us today. This is very exciting. And I'm super excited to talk about the latest episode of Champions of the Realm because it was such a cool episode. I very much enjoyed the contrast between the light and pure paladin and the dark and stormy sorcerer. That was a lot of fun.
It was really fun because before the match, we were like, why are these two fighting? Mark and I were talking about it. And the idea that Evelyn was auditioning was so much fun because it made it so much easier to role play as opposed to like Evelyn would have just been apologizing the whole time or like would have to have a reason to think that he was evil and needed to be smote from the face of the earth or something. So working with Mark and getting to not only just to role play with him, but to come up kind of with a little tale with him was really, really fun.
So you guys were able to kind of do some planning beforehand.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's very cool. We talked about this a little bit before we went live, but this was your first time playing with Mark.
Yeah, I think so. We've crossed paths at many D&D events, but I don't think we've ever played at the same table. I'll kick myself if I'm wrong. After we've done all these one-shots over the years, you kind of start to meld them together.
It all just goes together.
But I'm pretty sure that was at least the first time that our characters have had that much direct interaction.
That was really cool. You guys played off of each other so well. How did you feel when you knew that you were going to be going up against the legendary Mark Muir?
I felt really good. It always brings you to another level when you're playing with somebody who's at that level, Yes. And people in chat were like, oh, this is a master class in role play. And I was like, yeah, because someone like Mark who seamlessly weaves the character into the mechanics, into all the other stuff and stays in that realm helps me as a player to kind of stay at that level too. So that was fun. And also Mark is just very kind. And even some of the things that we had going on before the match, like where we were standing there and they're staring at each other, doing the like pre-fight stare video and some of that stuff, like he's so good at doing those things convincingly in just the right tone. And so, you know, where I might sometimes have the impulse to giggle and be like, oh, that's weird, I'm staring at someone, you know. That helps too, when you have someone that's like, I know how to do this, and you can do it with me, you know.
Yes, it really, really helps to have somebody meet you there, and then you can kind of like, yes. Okay, so I did mean to ask before we started talking about this, but I just got so excited. There's probably not many people out there who don't know who you are, but for any viewers who don't know who you are, can you just tell us a little bit about who Anna Prosser is and what you do in this space?
Who I am? Yeah, I mean, that's such an existential question.
Small question.
Who are we really,
but
anyways?
Assuming that you mean in the context of like, where might you have seen me on the internet before?
Yeah.
I came from an esports background as far as my internet life is concerned. Started with hosting esports tournaments, especially in StarCraft 2. So back when esports was young, I guess. And I have been hosting in kind of the geek and gaming space ever since then, and branched into kind of lots of areas of that. But I recently worked full-time for Twitch for 5 years as lead producer for Twitch Studios. So that was both behind and in front of the camera, where I was creating a lot of live stream media, the shows that you would see like at TwitchCon or PAX, or some of the weekly shows like Twitch Weekly, or game shows like Stream On. Those were my purview. And then just recently finally kind of stepped away from that to fully invest back in my freelance work. And my freelance work has evolved to include not only hosting and producing and consulting and education and kind of a mismatch of those things, but specifically spending a lot of my time being a professional Dungeons and Dragons live play improv artist, I guess. And so I've been on, as far as D&D shows, you might be familiar with me from Dice Camera Action. Before that, Misclicks D&D back in like 2013. And I still play with some of those people today.
Amazing.
And also in Acquisitions Incorporated, the C team, and then currently on Knights of Evening Star, which is on the D&D channel on Tuesdays.
Wow, that is quite an accomplished list of things.
Yeah.
And question for both of
Yeah.
you, how did the meeting between Anna Prosser and Realmsmith happen? How did this whole experience begin?
I've been a big fan of Anna's work and everything that she's done way back from Dice Camera Action. So I came into D&D. I used to play when I was like in my teen years. That was many years ago. You can tell by the gray in my beard. But that was many years ago. And Critical Role kind of brought me in again to the kind of the streaming D&D world. And kind of opened me up to this whole new world of streaming D&D and all that kind of stuff. And that was around the same time that Dice Camera Action kind of was going as well. And so those were the two shows I'd watch on a regular basis, and Acquisitions Inc. whenever they would come up. And they kind of became my my inspiration to do all this stuff, this craziness. So I mean, yeah. So my kind of respect for Anna, started kind of back then, and then we met briefly at D&D Live, Descent into Avernus, and we kind of just like passed in the hallway. We really didn't get a chance to chat, but that was kind of the time that we were together. And then we reached out, and it was just something that I've always wanted Anna to be involved in, something that we did. And we had talked about, because of your esports background, we actually, you probably don't even know this, we were like going back and forth with like, should you be a commentator? Should you come and play? And I was like, she's got to play Evelyn. And that's just, she's such a kind of mainstay of D&D streaming, especially now being so involved with Acquisitions Inc. That, yeah, it was a no-brainer. So we just wanted to make sure that we got you on the show, and that was kind of it. And she was like, yeah, absolutely. Let's do this. And she was very gracious in joining. And not only that, but then we, I'll even fast forward from that point a little bit. Even during the shoot, being able to kind of sit and chat and get to know each other, and then and her ability, and again, like, we just made sure that I wanted to make sure that the people that we chose for this show, because it's a competitive PvP show, that everyone we knew would be okay with losing if it happened, right? Like, it was kind of important that people love D&D so much, and I think as D&D players, we're used to losing every once in a while, whether it be another party
Mm-hmm.
member or not succeeding or the dice go bad. And so, it was just such a great experience after the fact, kind of in the green room after, to talk to Anna, and there not be any kind of concerns or worries that anybody was kind of let down or anything, and just being honest about kind of the way that it went and chatting. It was brilliant. And then Anna being able to say, and one thing she said that really kind of struck me was that she had never thought about Evelyn in this format before.
Yes.
That she's always been a tank who was more of a support character, and defended folks, but to actually go in kind of a PvP one-on-one was really difficult. Or not really difficult, just never thought about. And that was kind of cool. And then she, talked about the show and the concept, and how much she enjoyed it and how different it was. So anyways, that's my spiel. Yeah.
I do think that this experience really did impact the way that I think about and understand Evelyn, which you would think that after, I mean, Evelyn actually even came before Dice Camera Action. She was a character in Miss Click's D&D Outbreak
Yeah, I didn't
that
know
was like
that.
in 2015 or something like that. It was a very short-lived Miss Click's D&D campaign where we all died to zombies very quickly. But she I've been playing her for years and years. And so to have an experience that so shows me something new about her
Yeah.
is so cool and so valuable. So I feel like I'm taking that back to Ack Inc. and all the other places that I play her
That's
as
so
well.
great. I didn't know that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And
I was going to
yeah,
ask how long you've been playing her.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think it was 2015. And that was a very early, like, Evelyn version 0. Like, it was not the same Evelyn, but the basic premise of she's a paladin, her name is Evelyn Marthane. It was even spelled differently. I just forgot how I spelled it, like not intentionally, I just forgot. And she was very, especially motherly in that campaign, so very much caring for everyone. She had a southern accent at that time, so those were kind of the only things that were similar. And then she evolved to kind of the young, optimistic, to a point of flaw character who like has this desperate loneliness that's covered by a sheet of friendly optimism. So yeah, I've been playing her a long time, and there was a point after Dice Camera Action ended where I thought that I wasn't going to get to play her anymore, and that was horrible. I was like in mourning because this character, had come to mean so much to me, and she was kind of in the middle of a growth arc, and I was really having a hard time. I felt like someone had died, and
yeah.
and so I reached out to Alyssa, who was at Penny Arcade, and I was like, hey, Evelyn's been in some of the Ack Inc. adjacent stuff, so just if you ever want her to come exist in that universe, I would be so happy to play her, because I just am having such a hard time with thinking I'm not going to play her anymore. So thank goodness that crew enjoyed her being around as well, because now she's, like you said, a part of Ack Inc. and has really found a good niche there, I think, in that party, that provides a foil to some of those characters, which is so fun to play.
Yeah.
And I feel like has given me the opportunity to improve my comedy chops. And I feel like I've grown so much as a person thanks to where I've gotten to play her.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's great.
It's amazing how much playing a D&D character can generate personal growth.
Absolutely, especially when you get the opportunity to play one for so long, and you really get to know them and experiment with them.
Yeah.
That's super cool. We have a question from one of our viewers, Ron Carter. He wants to know if DCA is coming back. He says it's one of the best D&D streams ever.
Thank you. I also think it's one of the best D&D streams ever. I'm constantly amazed at how many people are still making content about Dice Camera Action and still hanging out in the subreddit and in the Discord. So I see you, and I love you, and I appreciate you. And if Dice Camera Action were to come back, I would be absolutely all for it, would work my tail off to make it happen, and I probably wouldn't be able to tell you about it until
it happened.
It was announced.
Yeah.
So I guess the answer to, is it possible that it would ever come back? Absolutely. Can I tell you that it is? No.
Right.
Good.
That is a great answer.
That's a great answer.
So another question from a viewer, Lucky Rick from our Discord. He was unable to join us live this evening, but he wanted to know kind of what the experience was like for you, Anna, and for you as well, Jason, of being part of something that is so unique in D&D streams. And if you could do a rematch, what would you want to do differently, or who else would you want to fight?
Good question.
Do you want to go first?
Oh, you
Jason,
go
or
ahead.
do you want me to?
Yeah, totally.
I think being part of something like this was really fun because I think lots of attempts have been made at PvP D&D.
Yes.
And it's very challenging. And so as a result, it's really fun to try. I think that D&D as it exists, like 5th edition D&D, is not conducive to being a PvP game. So it must be changed in order to do PvP. So it's really fun to see how people do that and what they try. And in this case, we all were playing at level 8. So I got to de-level my character and then take a look at all of her stats and spells and her oath and everything and be like, okay, if Evelyn is a PvP character, does she take Speak with Animals? Does she take Compelled Duel? You know, a lot of the things that are kind of staples of Evelyn's spellbook didn't make as much sense, especially because I knew I was playing a sorcerer. So that was really, really fun to look at her from a very strategic perspective and to even almost like chessboard it, like think, okay, if a sorcerer does this, Evelyn does that. If a sorcerer then does this, Evelyn does that. So that was really, really fun for me as someone who likes strategy games and doesn't usually compare D&D to those things.
Oh, cool.
I think if I had a rematch, I was going into it much more focused on the numbers of it, like how much damage can I do and how much health can I keep. And I think that focus maybe hurt me. I think it would have been good for me in the context of the Realmsmith scoring system to focus a little more on like creative strategy, role play, all that kind of stuff, which I think I did a pretty good job at. But if I, you know, what I learned from this and would take forward is having an even more widened lens through which to look at my performance, I guess.
I like that. I would love to see that rematch. I would watch that.
Yeah, it was
really funny.
Yeah.
I did keep Speak with Animals and I tried
You did
to
try,
use it.
and I totally.
And it was really funny. I was so glad it made it into the edit because it was like one of those, as they call it in Ack Inc., the PRBS, Patrick Rothfuss BS, where I was like, are there any animals?
Yeah.
Can I convince them to help me? And it didn't work, but it was worth a try.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good.
It was a great try.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, Anna, but you were actually selected as the top favorite for people to win the entire thing.
Everyone keeps being like, my bracket is shot. Thanks, Anna. I'm sorry. It was close. It was close.
It was so close.
It was honestly.
I feel bad for Jason.
Yeah, it
honestly.
was. Well, we knew going into this thing. I've said it so many times. I knew I was putting a target on my back. First of all, and doing something like this and it being groundbreaking and competitive, I knew that people would have a hard time with some of the calls that I made, both from a scoring position and from rules. If I missed rules, typically people are really forgiving when it's D&D, but when it's competitive PvP, and people are, you know, on certain sides and people have teams and all this kind of stuff, it becomes a totally different scenario. So I mean, we've learned tons even already about what we're going to do next time around. But yeah, for me, this and the Deborah Ann Wall, Alicia Marie episode were the hardest to score because, you know, from my perspective, and we've talked about this before, going into that final round, it was 2-2. And, you know, a lot of people watching are like, oh, Evelyn did so much damage or this, or, you know what I mean? And they'll be like, but if you look at each individual round and what went off and what damage was done, you wrecked face and then he blighted you in the next round. And then it was like a little back and forth. And so if you score each round individually, it was 2-2. And then going into that last round, the only thing that went off, unfortunately, was Counterspell. And then Mirror Image, which was a bit more of a performative thing. But yeah, it was tough. It's tough, especially in that moment. And, you know, we learned by the time we filmed yours and Mark's episode, we learned to we were definitely talking about it more between rounds and kind of conversing about it and kind of, you know, going over to the commentators and just making sure, and me doing sanity checks on like, guys, I was right there, but did I see it the same way? Does everybody see it the same way? But it's tough. It's tough. Next time around, absolutely, we're gonna have judges, and like notable D&D judges, so that final call isn't necessarily in my hands. And
And
then
that lets you
yeah,
focus on DMing too.
100%.
I think that's a great
Yep.
idea.
Yeah. And then as well, to even have somebody with rules in my ear. And so as things are going, if I miss something because I'm thinking two steps ahead or two steps back or whatever, that I'm catching everything. Because again, rules is written in this format is super important, and we're learning
Yeah.
that.
That makes sense. But I also want to give you props because I think you did a great job. And I think it's actually ludicrous to expect anyone except maybe Jeremy Crawford to know every single rule
Yeah.
of 5th
Yeah.
edition's Dungeons and Dragons. I've literally been playing this game for so long on stream in front of people. And I feel like I know the game really well. And even I sometimes am like, I don't know that rule. I forgot my second attack a million times. Like, you know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
that's how D&D
Yeah.
is. And I think you're right
Yeah.
that like we're all so used to being very forgiving, but then once it's in a competitive arena,
Yeah.
then people really care and their brackets are on the line.
Yeah, I know, it's
So
hilarious.
so
It's
I give you
hilarious.
props because I think you did a great
Thank
job. And
you.
sometimes
Thank
being
you.
flexible with the rules is like what makes D&D fun
Yep.
too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Totally. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I mean, it says in the DMG that it's the DM's job to keep the game going.
Yeah.
And if you're not sure on a rule, make a ruling and move
Yeah.
on.
yeah, and if you
then
have judges, then
research
they
it
can
later.
take that into
Yeah.
account, and who cares? You know?
And frankly,
Exactly.
this episode was the most sound from a rules perspective, and a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
feel
that
like it was
goes,
good.
and a lot of that credit goes to you and Mark, because you guys know your character so well. You know the rules of your character so well, and I think that makes a huge difference. I think it's incredibly important for people to kind of know what they're capable of, and know how many, the action economy and how many bonus actions they've done, and all that kind of stuff. I think it's incredibly important. So that helped huge. Yeah.
That was really satisfying because in chat, I was like, I've put myself to the test. Like, is anyone going to call me out on my rules? Am I going to,
Yeah.
did I mess up?
Yeah.
And there were a couple times where someone was like, hey, you cast too many things. And I was like, that's a bonus action that's triggered by when I do, you know, like, so I felt, I was very proud of myself.
Yeah, no, and again, it was one of those, it was like the first episode that we've had, that we didn't have any negative correct rules calls comments in the chat.
Hooray!
Right? Like, so up to this point, I've missed some things. I'm like, oh crap, I forgot that concentration check, or oh crap. But this was the first time that, yeah, people brought stuff up and there was like, no, we got that right. So yeah, it was good.
I have gone over and over the bout though, and I will say, I don't know, other than like if I could just get some better rolls, I don't know that I could come up with a better strategy than I had, because Mark took the tough feat. So he had 76 hit points, which my goal was like, if I can just like take out all his hit points in one turn, which is possible with Evelyn, but I couldn't, because he had so many more than I expected. And then he has such high mobility that even with things like Misty Step and my flying boots, I could not reach him. Like, I had to do things at range, and most of Evelyn's stuff is not at range. And I didn't know that in advance, you know? So I think that I like to think about what I would do different. And I think he just did an excellent job of making a really surprising sorcerer build. So I feel like that's a strategy I would take into the next one, is like, what can I do with a paladin that people won't expect and won't be prepared for, you know?
Ooh,
that's awesome.
So intrigued. I want this rematch now.
Yeah, I do too. I think it'd be fun.
It would be really fun. All right, so we are getting close to the end time with you today. So I just want to ask you one last question before we do our dice giveaway. And I want to talk a little bit about your charity, because puppies are very close to our hearts here at Realmsmith. So if you could just give us a little bit of information on Displaced Pet Rescue in Oregon, and what made you decide to do that, and what it meant to you to be able to support somewhere where you got your very own fur baby.
Can I show the fur baby?
Of course you can.
Yes, please.
This will help illustrate the point. This is, don't look at my messy desk, but this is that's what's happening on my desk right now. This is Nizki. And she has a face. It's over here. But yeah,
man.
They're so tiny. It's ridiculous. But yeah, Nizki was adopted from Displaced Pets Rescue, which is a really small in-home rescue in Vernonia, Oregon. Yeah, so it's just this woman who has kind of converted her property into a place for tiny dogs who need to be rescued. Yeah, and it's, small charities, especially kind of ones that aren't super visible and ones that don't have a huge social media presence or, ways of kind of doing modern fundraising. I feel like really, really benefit from when the gamer community finds out about them. I feel like I've seen that happening. So while I have lots of charities that I love supporting that are really in the internet space, I was like, what if we can make a good chunk for Displaced Pets Rescue and help dogs like mine. She came there because her owner passed away.
Aw.
And I already had an application in with this woman, and I was like, I know you're going to get a Pomeranian that's going to be the one I want, and as soon as you do, you call me. And that's the only reason I got her, because so many people were applying to adopt her, and I was like, I already talked to you about this, she's mine.
Oh, it was just meant to be.
Yeah.
Aw, that's
she
wonderful.
looks quite happy with you.
Yeah, we're just two little
Aw.
redheads doing our job.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah, and I just think it's great that you chose a really small one, because the dollar carries so much more for such a small charity, especially
Yes.
now finding out that it's just in her home.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So good.
Yeah, and it's a really cool property. Like I went out there, and she has like really just a wonderful caring space for all these dogs, and is constantly overwhelmed by how much, like, she wants to help so many dogs, and there are so many dogs that need help. And so I just feel like, yeah, exactly what you said, that the dollar goes so far with her. So if you can add to that GoFundMe, I'm sure that would make a big difference for them.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Awesome.
All right. Well, you ready to roll some dice for us?
Oh yeah, always.
Oh yeah, I gotta
folks.
prepare myself for that, actually.
All right, folks. While
That's
Jason
right.
prepares, just a quick reminder of what we're doing. We did a bracket prediction before Champions of the Realm started. It did close when Champions started, so you can't add it to it anymore. But if you did add to it, regardless of how well you're doing or anything, just the fact that you participated gets you an entry into the possibility of winning some really, really nice dice that I believe are the same kind that were used during the filming of Champions of the Realm.
No, they're not actually, but
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
no, they're not, but they are awesome dice. they do create awesome dice. Okay, I am ready.
All right. Take
Go
it away,
for it.
Jay.
What do I roll?
You roll your d6. It's going to be a d3.
Okay. I rolled a 5 on a d6.
Okay, so that is going to be a 3. Perfect. Now I gotta like. Nice roll, by the way.
Yeah,
that's what we've had so far.
Yeah.
When I'm not rolling for myself, I roll well.
Okay, percentile.
On the percentile, we've got 30.
Ooh,
Even.
Nice even number.
Okay. The winner is Rurikin. Rurikin, I don't know if you're watching, but if you are, congratulations. If not, we will absolutely reach out to you and let you know that you've won a set of Forge Gaming dice. Thank you, Anna, for doing that. Appreciate that.
My pleasure. Always happy to roll a die.
Now, before you go, Joel, who was the director on set, who you met, and sent me a clip just now of me trying to decide who won your match. It's 20
I was
seconds
pointing that out.
of
you in the background of the stream.
Yeah.
You were like, oh my god.
Yeah. So this is me holding, I guess, at the just before the point that I announced it, and apparently I'm toiling over who won, and he wants me to show it. So I'm showing this blind. I have not seen this, but
I'm stoked.
It's probably super embarrassing.
Yeah. So mind the crazy like interface stuff that's about to happen. I don't see it. It's not working. No.
Joel. I blame Joel because he's not here and he can't.
Because he can't defend himself exactly.
Usually safe. Yeah.
Yeah. Usually that is. Oh, there we go. Oh, hang on. I'm gonna pause it for a sec. I'm gonna grow it.
I already remember what this was.
Oh man, it's so bad. Okay, and then.
Jay, you look so concerned.
Oh, it's so bad.
You were like sweating, didn't you? You said you gave yourself a headache.
Yeah,
from
I did.
How hard you were.
I did.
Thinking about this.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure. Okay, I just got to change it to. All right, here we go. We all ready?
Mm-hmm.
Here it goes. I don't know if you guys will be able to hear it. I think you will, but here we go.
I know. I'm still deliberating. It's that tough.
Yeah.
Okay. I love you both very much. Just everyone know that. All right, wrists. I'm so clammy right now.
Wipe
All right.
your hands.
That's so bad. Oh, it was so bad. I don't know if you guys could hear. Could you guys hear the audio on it?
No, we
No.
couldn't.
Yeah. So at the
No.
beginning, I'm like, oh, what did I say? I was like, he's like, action, and I looked up. I was like, I know, and I was like, oh man, like, yeah, it's okay that you said it, but I am not ready. I am not ready for this. So, anyways, that was.
Yeah, I remember that there was
Yeah.
no indication of who you were choosing until you raised one of our fists. Like I had no idea.
Yeah.
Who was?
Yeah.
Gonna be the
It was
winner.
tough. It was tough. That fifth round. Again, if that command had gone off, or command, right? Not suggestion. It was command.
Yeah, it was command.
If that
yeah.
command had gone off, you would have won. If his psychic blades, I think he did it in the last round, or something else like that. If that had gone off, you would
and
have
it
won.
bounced off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like, saving throws being. Yeah, it was great. It was great.
Very even match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Anna.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was really fun. Any chance to chat D&D and go over the match, like talk about the big game? It's really fun.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. I do. I won't put you on the spot with that. But anyways, I'd love for you to guest star
Do
sometime.
it. Put me on the spot.
No,
I
I
don't
was
care.
going to talk about Evelyn coming over and playing. Actually, we have a Curse of Strahd campaign. Right now we're in Wildemount,
What?
but we have a Curse of Strahd campaign that we play every Mondays. Every Monday.
Every Monday.
And in 2 months from now, we'll go back to Barovia. And I don't know what the continuity of Evelyn still being there and what that could mean, but that could be
Evelyn's
fun.
continuity does not matter.
Okay.
Evelyn's continuity is, people have, sometimes she's a clone.
Yeah.
Sometimes she's in a different timeline.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't know how she's there. So absolutely, Evelyn could be in Barovia anytime. That makes
would
the
be
most sense.
Great, man. It would be awesome to have. Yeah, it'd be great. That'd be awesome. Good. Okay, so we'll talk about that at some point. But it would be great to have
Sounds
you
good.
come and guest for us.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Thank you, Anna.
Thanks for having me. Bye, guys.
Awesome. Bye. I am going to go to a... And we're back.
Oh, hi. Sorry, I had the wrong window open. I was trying to find Zoom.
It's all good. It's all good. She's so great. I love Anna
She's just
Prosser.
really cool.
She's super cool and super humble and just super fun. I mean, she's a freaking superstar in this space. And so the fact that she wanted to come on this show, and wanted to be in Champions, and now potentially even showing up in Barovia, which would be that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm seeing a comment in the chat from Tony Garza. Evelyn and Dimitri dishing out holy cans of whooping butts.
Yeah.
I would totally be down for that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Alrighty, so thanks for bearing with us as we just kind of switched over the overlays and interfaces and all that fancy jazz. So now Jay and I are going to move on to talking about what's been happening in Tides, what's going on in the Discord. So if anybody has any questions about any of that, go ahead and, just usual, do question all caps in the chat, and my fellow moderators will grab them and hand them over to me in a place where I can easily find them all. Okay, so we do have a couple questions from the audience about Champions, but they're more of questions for you. So I wanted to wait until it was just us and be able to, interact with her as much as possible while we had her.
Totally.
So the first one is from Chibi Chibi. This was actually submitted last week. Question for you: if Champions takes off, do you think Realmsmith might pursue it over your other content, aka Mists and Tides?
Yeah, we've been asked this question, and I don't think so. I mean, never say never, and we don't know what the future holds, and global pandemic hit and the world went crazy. So you just never,
Yeah.
never know. Um,
Yeah.
but we're in the midst actually right now of creating a bunch of kind of limited series concepts. Um, and I would call Champions a limited series concept. It's not like an ongoing long form episodic over multiple seasons kind of scenario. Even though it is technically seasonal, so that's part of it. And then we have two other concepts that we're creating right now for content like that, where it's kind of almost like a mini series. So, and that's our way of creating um, other content that we want to test while our regular streams are going. I have no intention of ending our regular streams. It's in the plan for the next year at least. You never know, but no, there is no plan. And I think, as much as we do these other things with these awesome people and Anna and Lillard and all these wonderful people that we love, it's really great also to get around the table and just play with my friends. On a weekly basis, and it's grounding and it's fun and it's rewarding and it's true D&D, which I still want to be able to experience. And not to say that Champions isn't true D&D, but it's much more pure D&D, I guess, or the way that it was initially intended and designed for. So that said, though, we are finding different ways to make it more sustainable from a weekly basis. And so I can actually say at this point that we're actually looking at potentially going to a pre-recorded format for our Monday night shows. We don't have any direct interactivity with the audience currently. There will be some of that in the future. We're planning some things, but it's a lot, especially during the winter here in Canada, when you don't know when snowstorms will stop people from being able to show up. That we
Yeah.
get together for a day and we film like 3 or 4 episodes in a row, live off the floor, so they're not edited at all. They're the exact same episode you would get on a Monday night. We're just filming them in a chunk all together to release them slow over the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks. And that just makes it just a lot. It solves a lot of issues from a business perspective, and it solves a lot of issues technically and all kinds of other things. So sponsorship perspective, all that stuff. So that is potentially the plan. Also, Joe makes a good point. Something not DM'd by Jason so he can get a vacation. That's another thing too.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
in the next number of months, I'm traveling a lot, a lot. I have D3 at Sea in March, and then I have Gary Con right after D3, 4 days after D3 at Sea, and then I have something else at the end of March that I can't announce yet, but I'm signing currently, which is super exciting. And so there's going to be a lot of traveling happening in the spring and summer. And so pre-recording episodes will mean that we will be able to give you guys content every week. And not only that, too, Canadian holidays, sometimes we can't play because we land on a Monday. That aren't
Yeah.
American holidays, and you guys don't get the content. But if we're filming ahead of time, there's no reason why we can't have an episode on those holidays where our folks can't. And yeah, so that's all of that fun stuff.
Awesome. Lots of
Long answer.
reasons.
I made a short story long, but that's the
Why
answer.
use 10 words when you could use 100?
Right? There's wealth in English language.
So I did see a question earlier, but I apologize to whoever asked it. I cannot for the life of me find it now. But they were just kind of wondering how the rounds are scored. Is there like a breakdown for it, or?
Yeah. So actually, it's funny because just yesterday I said, "Hey Joel, we should really, for next time we do this, have kind of the way that it's scored on screen. We do like the rules of what's there, but it'd be good." So it's scored round per round. So each round individually is scored separately. And it's scored based on strategy, role playing, and damage dealt. And so those 3 things are taken into consideration greatly. Obviously, damage dealt kind of being one of those bigger ones. But then, for example, if somebody like Jamila would have scored some decent points for a grappling borrow win, which isn't damage dealt, but that's strategy and really good strategy. And so those are some of the things that we consider when we're scoring the rounds.
Very cool. Just as variable as D&D can be. Also, I was able to find who the question was from. That was from Pickled Herring Viking. So
thank you, Pickled Herring Viking.
Yes, that sounds delicious.
No, isn't pickled herring like one of the smelliest foods in the world? Isn't that Isn't that pickled herring thing the one that people do videos of and they open it up and then they? I think that's what it is. So
One of
hey,
those things you
if
love
pickled
it,
herring Viking, if you are eating pickled herring, you're a hero in my books.
right?
Oh, show.
All righty. Let's see here. Squeaky wants to know when we will get to see you playing in a game. Obviously,
Yeah.
can't talk.
None of the concepts that we are working on right now have me playing. That's the truth. But at shows, live streams, you can go back to Order of Dragons Bane. There is lots of me playing my Crichton, my gold Dragonborn monk, which was a lot of fun. So you can see me play there. But yeah, I'd love to play. I love playing. Anytime, any chance I get to play, it's a wonderful one. So. But yeah, I've done some playing at shows and on some live streams and things like that before, but not a lot.
Yeah.
Or Cyberpunk, but that's not D&D.
It's so fun watching you be a player.
Oh, I appreciate that.
I always think that DMs are really fun to watch as players because you're so used to having it
Oh,
wrong.
sorry, I just did something I wasn't supposed to. Sorry.
Rude.
That was very rude. It covered your full face.
Anyway, it was fun. We would love to see more of that.
Yeah.
Let's have more of that in the future, please.
Great.
One last question about Champions of the Realm. Edward DDO wants to know, do you think that kind of mobility, and I'm pretty sure he's talking about the ridiculously clutch thunderstep that kept happening. Do you think that kind of mobility might be a problem upcoming?
Yeah. So, I mean, again, we didn't know what we didn't know. And we've learned a lot. Like, I have a whole list of things that I've learned from this season of Champions. And I think, that's why we limited the size of the arena, because we wanted to make sure that people couldn't just run and run and run. People and then hand-to-hand folks or melee centric players couldn't get to people. And so yeah, we're still learning. I mean, listen, as a rogue and as a caster, you want to be able to get that distance, and so absolutely. I mean, but we saw with Evelyn and Baloth, with Anna and Mark, that it was still a very close fight, even though one was a ranged sorcerer. And frankly, honestly, going into that fight, I was not going into that fight, but when we were putting the matches together, that was the one I was most concerned about, because you
wouldn't necessarily think a paladin and a sorcerer would go well together,
right? Like, it'd be competitive, right? Like. And everybody had such different views, even in our play testing, different views on who might win that match. Some people would say, "Oh, Smites will rule and she'll destroy him," and other people like, "No, if he keeps the distance." So, and it was the same thing in the chat last night, where people were very, very divided as to who they thought was going to win that fight. So, yeah, I mean, we're considering all those things, and yeah, I think mobility and being able to move around is incredibly important for this format for sure.
It was obviously a good selection.
Yeah.
It split the chat. It split the combat.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Tides and Discord and the whole new location and the wilds.
Yeah.
There's so many fun and exciting things coming up.
Yeah.
The last episode was there was a lot of range in that episode. There was some combat, there was some goodbyes, there was some drinking and revelry, which was delightful. So my first question was, why did the Zalezo follow them? One of, I think it was Zin, hinted that maybe it was because maybe some of the lies weren't good enough, which of course Gab was very flustered about. But can you give us a little bit more insight on that?
Yeah. And sorry, specifically what aspect of
why
it?
the Zalezo, why they followed them, why they wanted to.
Yeah. So I was talking about this a couple weeks ago with the guys after the session, or even in the break. And one of the hardest things in Dungeons and Dragons as a dungeon master is when somebody rolls incredibly well on something that is pretty ridiculous to do. What are what are the factors that factor into that to make it believable as a dungeon master? So, it's one guy who is escorting like 6 capable people who are wanted
Sketchy.
across Exandria, or at least
Yeah.
across the Menagerie Coast.
Yeah.
And how does that work? Like how can you convince? Well, you roll 25 plus on every roll for it. So I mean, Joel did that, and so I had to reward him for it. And so, but again, it's not like, oh, he believes you. It's like, what are the other factors? So for me, it was like, okay, he's there. He's being,
Sus.
yeah. So, no. So the Zalezo are asking the questions and are, the Crowns Guard are challenging. The Zalezo are challenging the Crowns Guard. Wait a second. Why did I had this thought out and, Joel just sent me a text and I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna keep the swears out, but Joel
Joel,
says,
stop distracting Jason.
he says, I'm effing amazing. That's how it works, is what he said.
I'm not sure if that was more Joel or more Dad.
I don't know what it was, but he's gonna
Or
hate
where
me
the
for
line
saying
is.
that. Oh, that's so funny. Anyways, but bottom line for me, it's figuring out exactly what that meant, right? So it was one versus another, and he did such a great job of convincing him that it wasn't so much that the Crowns Guard believed that it was who it was and it made sense. It was that it was so convincing that they were like, I don't want to look bad in front of the rest of my people, right? The Zalezo were against the Crowns Guard, and he played a Crowns Guard captain, and so
Yeah.
it's all Crowns Guard on that wall. And if the Zalezo gets it wrong and threatens the Crowns Guard, then they end up in jail or captured or dead. So he's like, I can't at this point pursue this. I can't at this point, he's convinced me out of at least pursuing it. So I'm just going to wait and then I'll follow just to see what happens. And then we went from there. And again, like, they didn't cover their tracks. They just walked up to the camp. They didn't say they did any anti-tracking or anything like that. So, the Zalezo passed their tests for tracking and were able to then find them.
Oh, so you did rolls for them?
Oh, of course, always in the back. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess they did a pretty good job hiding the bodies. I was going to ask if this would raise their bounty, but I guess that depends on whether or not the bodies get found. All right, I'll take that eyebrow raise as a who knows.
Who knows?
Also, I wanted to suggest a mini print idea.
Yeah.
Maybe some not wanted posters.
That's good. Yeah. Or wanted for 0 money. That was good.
Yes.
That was great.
That was so funny.
From Sierra. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was great. There's so many good moments in that one. I'm super intrigued by Zin's offer to teach Sierra some of what he knows. She seemed really intrigued at the idea of kind of learning some of it for herself, as opposed to the contract agreement that we don't know a whole lot about. Is there a place for players or characters to learn skills and things from other characters?
You're talking about in Dungeons and Dragons in the game? Yeah, absolutely. The problem is within Dungeons and Dragons itself. Now, it's different in the Discord, of course, but in Dungeons and Dragons itself, it takes a long time to do, like a really long time. And we don't do any sort of like time jumps. We haven't yet. We may at some point. We've only done like a week at a time or 2 weeks at a time or something like that. So, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, if that's something that they wanted to role play and do, there's no reason why they couldn't, for sure.
Yeah. I just think that would be super cool. But then it's like, do you do multi-classing? How do you make that work?
Yeah. That's when it gets creative, right? It's like, okay, so if somebody wanted to learn a class, and that's kind of like, again, with Adam in Into the Mist, with Dimitri, taking a level in Warlock, because now, he's beholden to Argynvost in a very, in a closer manner, or in a much more intimate way. That was a great reason to justify the multi-class. So absolutely, that's a great way to do it, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it when multi-class is for an RP reason and not for like a min-maxing reason, which obviously there's nothing wrong with doing that. It's just a different way of playing.
Yeah.
But when it really backs up the players' decisions, it just feels so good.
So good. So good.
Which, by the way, you're killing me with this cliffhanger you left us on.
This last one? Or Into the Mist? Oh, I know.
Into the
It
Mist,
was
yeah.
it was the cliffhanger of all cliffhangers, that one.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So Gab seemed really disappointed that there weren't more wanted posters up for them. So plans on making more wanted posters around town?
Again, right? This is the Empire now. So
Yeah.
it's a different place. The Zalezo are still on their heels. They're going to try but they're not wanted in the they're no longer wanted in the Empire, or they're not wanted in the Empire. They're wanted in the Menagerie Coast by the Clovis Concord. So the question is, can the Clovis Concord convince the Empire that they're a big enough of a problem to allow, or to make it an issue? That's something we'll have to figure out.
Only time will tell.
Yes.
I'm seeing some rather hilarious comments in here back from when we were talking about you being a player. For our very own Jon says, just don't kill the unicorn next time.
That's good.
And then Squeaky says that he has declared a blood oath against Jason the Unicorn Murderer.
Oh yes, yeah, those were good times. Good times had by all.
So we're getting real close to the end here. I did just want to read this comment from Lucky Rick. He submitted this on Discord because, like I said, he wasn't able to join us in person. Sure. He says, please tell Jason we love his passion and drive.
Aww.
Keep up the amazing job you do. Thank you so much.
Oh, man. Thank you. That's Lucky Rick? Is that what you said?
Lucky Rick.
Oh,
yeah.
Thanks, Lucky Rick. We're lucky to have you, Rick.
Right?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, this as much as we play games for a living, and as much as playing games for as a job for me is what I do, it's still a lot of work and sometimes a lot of stress. They say if you do what you love, you don't work a day in your life. That's not true. It definitely sometimes feels like work. But it's work I love. And so because I love it, it's rewarding and wonderful and all of that. So even when people, talk about, going on vacations, for example, I love what I do. And so, yeah, sure, a vacation would be great. Absolutely. But my job on Monday nights is playing D&D with my friends. And so it's great. It's so great. Or writing awesome content together with you and the Smithgardians for the Discord, or all of that kind of stuff. It's just so much fun, and I feel so blessed and so honored. So thank you for saying that, Lucky Rick. I appreciate that. And again, this started off with us just being friends around the table. It's funny because I saw an interview in Entertainment Weekly, crazy enough, with the Critical Role cast today.
Right.
Yeah. And they were just saying, now they have an animated series. How did that come from them just playing? And it's crazy how they all met just like serendipitously, and how it all came together. And at the core of what we do, Realm Smith is friends around a table playing a game that they love, and it will continue to be that. And we do all these other fun stuff like Champions and all this other stuff. But really, what really drives me is that concept of building an awesome company with people I love, who I've known for a long time, and we can all benefit together from it. So, and again, I do a lot of hard work, but Joel's been busting his butt editing Champions of the Realm. He is the only editor that we have. If people are like, what, you don't have an editing team? No, it's Joel, and it's Joel alone. And Joel wrote all the music, and he edits every episode, and he's been doing it since PAX. So for the last almost 2 months, he's been editing almost nonstop. So, there's so many people that do so much hard work. You guys, Smithgardians, giving up time during Christmas to do this, and it interfering with family time, and the community just needs to know how hard our team works to bring you guys the content that we do. Even though things are better than they were financially, in a sense, in some ways, because we have sponsors and stuff, we nowhere near pay everyone on the team close to what we should be paying them for the effort that they put forth. So, yeah, anyways, all of that to say that love needs to go right across the board to everyone involved with Realmsmith, because it's huge and it's a lot of work, and it's but it's work that we love, and it will continue. So
100%. Speaking of the Discord, we are we haven't really had a chance to talk about it on Aftermath, and we're just about at the end, so we're not going to have a lot of time right now either. But if you could just talk about like what you're excited about with this new location for the main party and the Discord players, and anything that you're looking forward to with that.
Yeah, with the Discord, we are doing some crazy things. And it's funny because, again, like speaking to the wonderful people who do really hard work, last season, I off the cuff just said, hey guys, how awesome would it be if we could just automate all of the crafting roles and all of that stuff on the back end, so that you could do a roll and it would track it for you. You don't have to write down how many rolls you've done and whatever. It would just track it and spit out an item on the other end. And, everybody loves that. It's amazing. But people don't realize the amount of work that is required to make these things happen. Like, we use Auge as a tool, but all of that stuff has to be developed by our realm weavers, or sorry, our technomancers. So many terms, so many titles. Joe and Betsy and his team, like they do so much freaking work,
They are
for free because they love the community. And there are some, perks or whatever that we afford, but there's no way that we could ever pay them for the work that they've done, in our current circumstance. So, there, just from that whole automation, which is a massive, undertaking and effort that we need to massively tip our hats to them for that. But also just the creativity, being able to jump into an existing world like Wildemount, which is so rich and awesome and and fun from Matt Mercer's mind and the people at Critical Role, and then to be able to also then dig in and dig deeper. Like we've picked an area,
literally.
the Herethus Mines. If my players are watching, cover your ears. If they're at the Herethus Mines and we picked one, and there was some narrative, and then we were just like, what can we do to make it better? And we just dug like onkegs, and came up with this really awesome kind of concept for the Discord for the season. And not only that, but then all the work that Hillary on her own pretty much wrote the Weaver Guide for everyone over Christmas, and us writing the guide together, and all of the stuff that happens there. Man, there is just, yeah, tireless work, tireless. Shad and his endless spreadsheets, and Jon with all the hard work that he does, and it's nuts. It's really crazy. So, and Omega now, Smithgardian, and DMing all of the Masters of the Realm sessions. So, anyways, it's great. It's awesome. People are working hella hard, and I'm so happy. But I'm just very excited at some of the new things we're trying. We're always pushing the envelope. Like we're never satisfied with where we're at in the Discord. That's what I'm most excited about. I'm most excited about us continuing to push the narrative, to push the platform to the point where we talked to D&D and beyond, and we have a call with them this week, tomorrow actually, about our Discord and the wonderful things that we've done in our Discord, and how we've made Auge more verbose and doing things that they've never done before. So, anyways, it's great. It's fantastic. And I'm just so stinking thankful for the team and the people that we have involved.
Well, I'm stinking thankful that I was asked to be part of the team.
Oh, gosh. You're fantastic.
Okay, well, we could keep being really nice to each other all night, or we could watch the next interview.
Yes, we can. And again, I apologize for the shoddy situation here, because I have to open it and then drag it in order to make it work. So I'm gonna do that real quick. Just gonna, oh my gosh, and stop it. Oh no, and then oh, okay, I'm gonna have to do this, and then I'm gonna have to drag it like this. Oh, it's so bad.
It really means a lot to me that I've
stop it and rewind it.
We'll get there together. It's all good.
Oh, we will get there together. I am almost there. It is happening. Just make sure in the chat you guys tell me if you can hear this or not once it actually starts. Oh, that's not the one. This is the one. Okay.
I'm sure Jon or Shad will ping us real fast if they don't hear it.
Yes, they're on it.
Yeah.
They are on it. Please stand by.
Hold, please.
Why is this not working?
Because it wouldn't
Ha,
be
there
a
it is.
live
No, we're good.
stream without some sort of.
We're good. We're so good. Okay. Anyway, so we haven't released this yet in public. Nobody has seen this. We usually release it on YouTube, but this is the first time anybody's seen the interview between Alicia Marie and Nora for the next episode of Champions in the Realm, and that is happening
So
Wednesday. So, y'all ready for this? Let's do it. Well, maybe. Let's see.
It really means a lot to me that I've gotten this far. So far, everybody's just been really evenly matched. I didn't know which way that the rounds were going to go. So to be here amongst real champions feels good.
Yes, we had to know mechanics. Yes, we had to kind of know what our classes could do and what our characters could do. But in the end, you know, sometimes the dice works in your favor, and sometimes you throw it in the garbage disposal and turn it on. Not that I've ever done that, ever.
From my last fight, I learned that even though you can be very evenly matched, which makes decisions on spells and movements very difficult, strategy is everything.
What did I learn? To 100% expect the unexpected. You're going with this big plan, ideas of what you're gonna do. Okay, if she gets initiative, I'll do this. If I get initiative, I'll do that. It's never, ever, ever, ever gonna work out. I did not anticipate how that was gonna go down. I did not anticipate being grappled for most of the game.
If I can say one thing to Barrowin going into this match, I would say, I fought a dwarf before, I will fight another dwarf, I will fight all the dwarves, I will win.
I shed some blood. My opponent, Jamila, shed some blood. But it was with respect and dignity. And with Esmeralda, I hope that she comes into this game with strong faith, because faith is the most potent weapon. I do like her, but I do intend to destroy her. And then afterwards, we'll have a nice talk, sit down, some coffee or something.
We are here at Champions of the Realm.
So good.
I can't hear it.
Yeah, I know.
While it's playing,
so good.
but it's just
It's
as
great.
amusing watching it without
Yeah.
any sound.
Yeah.
Because both Nora and Alicia are so expressive.
Yeah, you can just imagine what they're saying, right?
Yeah, and you can totally see when they go in and out of character.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so good. Oh man.
Oh,
It's so
really looking
we'll
forward to
be
watching that.
launching that. I'll launch it tonight for the world to see.
The interview?
Yeah, and people will be able to kind of check that out. But yeah,
Cool.
I'm telling you, it's been such a ride, and we're so excited, and we're, like I said, in the throes right now of, you know, what this is going to look like when we potentially do it again. So yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. Lots of fun stuff coming up. First round of semifinals next Wednesday. Maybe a hangover in Trostenwald. Yes, maybe a hangover in Trostenwald next Monday.
Yeah.
Lots of fun stuff coming up.
That's good. Oh, that's so funny.
So, as you know, Jay, before I do my thank yous, I will open the floor up to you to talk about anything in particular else you want to talk about. Any
Yeah.
final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I'm just super thankful. We have a Realm Smith retreat coming up tomorrow. Joel and Julian and I'm blanking. Joel and Julian and I
What are your
and
friends'
Tim
names again?
and Brandon are all heading up to that same cottage that we were in onesies in last year. We're heading up there again. It's freezing cold. Last time it was like fall, so it was gorgeous. There's a foot of ice on the lake, so we're actually like snowmobiling across, or even taking a truck across. because that's something you do. And there's like a ice fishing hut, but it's like negative 30 degrees
terrifying.
Celsius.
Oh god.
And that's warmth. So we'll have a fire going, and we're gonna cook some steaks in the freezing cold. That's Tim's job. Um, and yeah, I think it's gonna be great. Like, I think we're just gonna, chat, and we're gonna watch Critical Role of Legend of Vox Machina animated series tomorrow. I'm so excited, and
So excited.
yeah, play some board games, and then just chat and hang out and lay back. So that is my vacation, everyone. I'm taking a weekend off, and we are hanging out as a team, having a really, really great time together. So just thankful for
Awesome.
my fellow Realm Smithers, my fellow team.
Excellent. All right. On that note, we got to call it for the night. Thank you so much to every single person for showing up tonight. Huge thanks to Forged Gaming for sponsoring our show and now our main title show. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Big thanks to Anna and Jason for joining me today. It was an honor and a delight as always.
I have one more
Yes.
thing to say. I forgot to say it tonight.
Okay.
I just found out from Forged Gaming today that we are releasing the dice trays for sale that we had during the filming. So you can get a Champions of the Realm dice tray in short order. They're just going to let us know. They're going to send us a link when they're available. And so if you'd like a Champions of the Realm dice tray, that is a great way to celebrate that wonderful show. It goes great with your jersey if you've ordered one, and you can play along with us while you watch. But those will be released soon. And there's lots more wonderful stuff coming from Forged Gaming for Realmsmith. I had a wonderful talk today, this week with Brandon. Oh my gosh, with Mark and John. It's been a long day. Long chat with Mark and John this week from Forge Gaming, just to discuss kind of the future and some of the wonderful things that we want to do together. And there's some fun stuff coming. So just stay tuned.
Ooh, that's exciting. Also, I just think you guys should know that we've been having a blast watching all of your discussions and your pictures of your jerseys and all that stuff in the Discord chat for Champions of the
great.
Realm. It's been really fun seeing how excited you guys are about it. So just know that we might not always be able to comment, but those are little hearts will have it. Thank you guys.
What is that voice, Ethan?
Oh, my Laura Bailey voice.
Oh, it's so good. Can you do the next episode completely in that voice, please?
I should just like a character.
It's so great. I love it so much. It's so good.
Oh my goodness.
I might have one more announcement. Hang on one sec.
Oh, okay.
I just don't want to go today. I'm just not.
That's fine.
I'm just not ready to go today. Yeah, I can't say that yet. But we have we're gonna have another wonderful guest next Thursday from Champions of the Realm. Stay tuned.
Not fair, Jason, but okay. We'll move on. Hashtag NDA life.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yes.
Thank you to the Realm Watchers, our Technomancers, and our Weavers of all varieties. You guys are amazing. Thank you all so very much. Huge thanks to my fellow Smithgardians for always being there and always getting all the stuff done and all the innumerable things. Thank you guys. And of course, last but certainly not least, thank you to every single one of you guys that shows up to all of our streams and watches and comments and likes and subscribes, and just showing up and watching is the best thing that you can do. So thank you guys all so very much. And I hope everybody has a beautiful weekend, and we will see you Monday as we venture back into the wild.
Bye.